Maintalbahn, coming soon. Deutsche Diesel duty comes to port with the forthcoming arrival of the DBBR 642 in Maintalbahn, Aschaffenberg, Miltenberg from November 28. Pre-order on Steam for a 10% discount. Where we're going, we don't need wires. The DBBR 642, new to train sim world, has become a common sight in recent decades on rural branch lines, with its diesel power moving passengers on non-electrified routes since their introduction in the late 1990s. These two-car multiple units feature an innovative low-floor and boarding design for increased accessibility and are mounted upon a shared bogie to improve safety and ride quality. The low floor also gives the 642 its distinctive large windows for ultimate scenic viewing, particularly for passengers traveling along the scenic main valley. With free roam, a popular feature in Train Sim World 4, players with additional route add-ons will have the ability to take the 642 elsewhere across the German network too. Though Niedertalbahn in-game may be set in the early 1990s, the DBBR 642 has been in operation along the route in more recent times. Similarly, those with Dresden, Ryzen, since upgraded for Train Sim World 4 players, may wish to free roam the 642 in and around the Dresden area. Freight Loco, DBBR 363. Joining in on the diesel action is the DBBR 363 shunting locomotive in blue livery, hauling DB Habians and Roos T-wagons. Developed in the late 1950s, this formidable shunter was produced in good numbers, with 942 being delivered by the time production ceased in 1964. Players of previous German Train Sim World routes will find this locomotive a familiar entry point into exploring the Maintalbahn route and running services in between the passenger trains, negotiating the single-track sections in order to let them through on time. The route. Located in the westernmost part of Bavaria, the main valley winds its way through scenic countryside, with the railway line following the course of the river throughout. This single-track line features a varied service pattern for the DBBR 642, as well as the local freight trains servicing industry in the area. Aschaffenberg will be familiar to players of the previous Main-Spessart Bahn route add-on, which instead cuts across country to join the main valley at Gmunden much further along. This portside town is served by multiple stations in addition to Aschaffenberg Hauptbahnhof, which forms the northernmost stop in Maintalbahn. 14 stations in total lie along the route, with Miltenberg forming the southern endpoint for in-game services. Completing the Tier 2 Mastery Challenge will also add further drama to the scenery, with a ship launch to unlock services, layers, and gameplay. The passenger experience is primarily full-length runs. The RB88 service is roughly hourly and calls at most if not all stations. RE87 is a semi-fast run, stopping at less stations. There are also shorter shuttles between Aschaffenberg and Aschaffenberg South, and depot/shunt maneuvers at either end of the line. The BR 363 shunts freight wagons and delivers them to and from Aschaffenberg port, as well as a couple of mainline runs, split into parts as a result of the single track necessitating waits for paths, similar to how freight services operate on Niedertalbahn. Players with Niedertalbahn and Train Sim World 4 will have received the updated red DB livery for the class 628.2, and this version of the older DMU class will substitute into all of Maintalbahn's 642 services. The DBBR 612 from their inter-ramp also subs into the 642 services. There'll also be substitutions with the red liveried DBBR 363 into the freight services for those that own the separate locomotive add-on. At Aschaffenberg, there'll be a series of AI layers from other German Train Sim World routes, including. There'll be a handful of scenarios to choose from, including the unique running on vapors scenario in which you'll need to manage your fuel usage to complete your service without running out of fuel. You'll start with a minimal amount and will have to fill up once you get to a refueling point. Train Sim World 4, Maintalbahn, Aschaffenberg, Miltenberg route add-on will be available from November 28 for Euro 29.99 / pound 24.99 / dollar 29.99. Join the Railfan TV team on Twitch and YouTube at 1800 hours UTC on Tuesday, November 21 for a preview of Train Sim World 4, Maintalbahn, Aschaffenberg, Miltenberg.